welcome to the Real Vinny B's. I just want to make a little video here of letting you know we have been on the road, and I've got to kill a spider. Good gracious. That's the story of our lives now. Out here in the woods, and sometimes there's bugs and spiders. We have been on the road for 365 days. There is some things that we've learned along the way, but today what I want to share is is 5 different things that we heard before we took this journey, but we really didn't listen to. Not that they're deal breakers for us, or maybe they are. You'll have to wait till the end of the video to find that out. But today, on our anniversary, we are in Connecticut, in a town called Nyack. I know I just butchered that name, I apologize. But we are at a boondocker's welcome, and behind me is a pond. The location's called On Gordon's Pond, and if you're a boondocker's welcome person, this is the place to be. Anyway, I digress. 5 things that we heard, but we really didn't hear it. So there's not any particular order for this, but I think it's important that if you're looking at getting into this lifestyle, that you listen to some of the things that others have got to say. And I listened to all of them, and I still do. I still have many YouTube videos or YouTube influencers, whatever you want to call them, that I listen to. And just this morning I listened to one, KYD, Keeping Your Dreams, and they gave some advice on how to understand the dips and the highs. Great advice. Guys, if you haven't listened to them, or at least watch their videos, please do. But again, if you're listening, you gotta understand, or at least think about what they're saying. So anyway, I'm gonna get to my 5 things, and they're no particular order. But the first one was, we've been on the road for 365 days. So that means one winter. Where do you winter? Well, everybody says, go to Florida, go to Florida. And which I thought, from Oklahoma winters to southern Florida winters would be great. Everybody said, you need to make your reservations a year in advance. I said, sure. Okay, like they're not going to have any place to stay. No, that's true. You've got to make your reservations early, or you're not getting into Florida, especially southern Florida. The other thing, just a little side note, is southern Florida is hella expensive. So you got to think about, do I really want to stay in Florida, especially the southern part? And if you do, you gotta get that reservation in there early. Excuse me for looking down, but my notes are down here. Second thing, boondocking is hard. I loved several YouTube influencers who do the boondocking all the time, and they make it look so easy. You just pull up your RV, boom, you're boondocking. Well, let me tell you, it's not as easy as you think. It's doable. Anybody could do it, but you got to think about stuff ahead of time. One person or one video told me you could get water anywhere before you go into your boondocking camp. We went to a place on Highway 50 in Nevada called Bob Scott's Campground. If you're ever on a Highway 50 and you want a place to stay, that's the spot for boondockers. But there's nothing there except water. You can fill up your tanks. They have plenty of water spigots throughout the park, but they have nothing else. There's no place to dump, so you have to make sure you understand water management. How do I keep from overflowing my tanks? Yeah, I've watched some of those guys that said, oh, just empty that gray water on the ground, nobody cares. No, I'm not going to do that. So water management, parking, getting your RV into the tiny spots. I've got a 34 foot Reflection 303 RLS. Not that that matters, but it's a fifth wheel that's not quite as easy to get into small spots as some of the others. Just finding a boondocking spot is not as easy as you would think. I love Boondockers Welcome and Harvest Host, and I use those a lot, and that's a lot of my boondocking. But I went out and spent tons of money on solar power and generators and all this stuff, and I use it 3 or 4 times a year. So if you're not too sure about boondocking, try it first and then go out and spend that extra money. Let's see. The other thing that everybody said was campgrounds are hard to get into on the West Coast. They're not really hard to get into. I found that getting into RV parks wasn't the issue. It's getting into RV parks that are truly RV parks. Now, there is some controversy to RV living. I think that if you're doing the RV lifestyle, you're hooking it up to your truck every so often, 7, 10, 15 days, 20 days, and you're moving from place to place. Others consider RV lifestyle, buying an RV, parking it in a spot, putting skirting around it, putting up a wooden deck, and that's the RV lifestyle. Well, my point is those parks are more like trailer parks than they really are RV parks. We, for example, we were driving to the West Coast. Very first part of our trip, we decided we were going to go to Oregon and Washington coast. And we were stopping 7, 10, I don't know, 5, 7, 10 days at a time. And right as you leave Idaho going into Washington, right on the Washington-Oregon border, there's not a lot of RV parks. So we researched one. It was called Shangri-La. That should have been my first clue, right? Sounds like a strip club. Anyway, Shangri-La, and if you go into the park, it's a mobile home place. There's 2 or 3 sites for individuals to spend the night, but the vast majority of them are 20-year-old Fleetwood Bounders up on blocks. Wasn't our favorite spot, but we made it work. Research, and even if you do research, you still are going to get it wrong sometimes. There's a difference between RVing and full-time living in an RV. Not saying that either one's better than the other, I'm just saying there is a difference. Let's see, family. I heard this all the time. You're gonna miss your family, you're gonna miss your family. That's a fact. My family comes first, but I thought, well, they're all grown. We're gonna be FaceTime, we're gonna do all the stuff and stay close. And we've done everything we can, but I still miss the Sunday afternoon dinners. If that is something that is very, very important to you, then maybe this lifestyle isn't for you, but I've made it work. I do miss my kids, they're all older, 30s, 40s, but having Sunday dinner with all them and grandkids and stuff, yeah, I sort of miss that. Budget, budget, and then budget some more. Now, if you're independently wealthy, awesome. You don't have to worry about that stuff. I went from pretty good income. My wife had a pretty good income. We both retired. Now we're living on fixed incomes, and we sometimes forget this is our life now. This is the way we live. We go to a place and we live life as retirees. But there's the occasion we go someplace and we make it into more of a tourist attraction or a vacation, and we end up spending way more money than we should. So you really have to budget. I didn't do that. I didn't write everything down when I started. I sure wish I would have. Bonus: toilet paper matters. Guys, I know that people out there will say, oh hell, use that ultra gugagi paper and just lots of water and it'll all work out. If you're living in your RV and you're dumping every 2 or 3 days and you're using lots and lots of water, that may be true. If you're boondocking, not so much. Toilet paper matters. Use the stuff that is going to disintegrate in your tank. That way, when you empty, everything gets empty. Use a good chemical in your tank. If you don't, you're going to have consequences. I see it on the boards all the time. Oh, my sewer line won't drain. Well, first thing is you probably got a pyramid, a poop pyramid. And if you ever have to deal with one of those, not that I have yet, but if you ever have to deal with one of those, I think that's pretty nasty. So anyway, use the right toilet paper. Bonus. If you do decide to go the route I did and get your solar and all that stuff hooked up before you actually take off, learn your system. I've had to learn it as I went, which is okay. But sometimes you get someplace and you don't have internet, you don't have YouTube, you don't have phone. So it becomes an issue if you really want that power. For example, there's a setting on mine. I didn't know this when I put it all in, but there is a little setting that if I change over from a pedestal, electric pedestal, to my generator, I have to move the number in that setting to like 15 or 20 so that I don't overload my inverter. So had to learn that the hard way. I was in the middle of Bob Scott. I kept getting this alarm and it was due to that number being too high. So that's bonus. Learn your system, learn your RV. Guys, I read all the time that I hate my RV because the wallpaper's coming down or whatever. Yeah, they're RVs. That's what they do. So learn how to take care of some of them systems and you're going to be a lot happier. And I'm going to use a little line from KYD. I hope they don't mind, but learn your highs and your lows and know what they are. Because your brain, you're only going to remember the high and you're going to remember the low. But once you get to the low, just remember it's not a big deal. It's a low. You're going to remember it. You're going to want to write about it. You're going to want to scream and rant and rave about it. Best thing to do is take care of the problem. Get together as a family or however you got to do it. Take care of the problem. Move on. Guess what? You made a good memory. So anyway, that's all I have to say. 365 days. I gotta let you know, I'm hoping for 1,000 more days of this. We are having a blast. My wife and I have grown closer. We have seen more things. We have been to 29 of the lower 48 and we're looking forward to filling our map. So until next time, this is the Real Vinny B. I'm out. on Gordon's Pond. And I got to tell you, last night it was so silent. All I could hear was the water going over the spillway.